Hi everyone, this is Drifter. I'll be picking and drafting actually an arena deck with Uther, the Paladin. Be going pick by pick, explaining my reasons for picking or discarding cards. I think the Troll is actually very strong in the arena. He has a very useful ability if you let it get out of hand. If it has like, I don't know, 3 totems or something that work together. They're seemingly each totem seems like he's not doing much, but it always gives him more options. They all help, and all of a sudden you're in constant disadvantage. But unfortunately, I don't know. It's a personal problem, I guess, that I'm not good with him. I know I didn't have any success with him yet. Well, great success. So I won't be picking him for now. At least as long as I'm casting. Now, the warrior, I really don't like his hero ability. Okay, it doesn't provide any board control. It's like healing. It's slightly better than the priest's healing, but only on the hero itself. So I really don't like it. But the warrior has very powerful cards, mostly weapons that do compensate for that lack of board control, because weapons give you a lot of board control, basically in exchange for life, which is this is what the armor up comes to compensate for. Actually, I think statistically the warrior is the one that I had the most success with. I think I have like both times I played him I got 8-3, but I'll go with the Paladin today, and because it's been a while since I played a Paladin. I like his ability. It's simple. It's reliable. It's always useful to have more guys. He has some powerful cards like Consecration, for example, and Might of Kings. So I'll go with the Paladin. Okay. An easy pick out of the gates. I really hate Arcane Golem in an arena. It's super aggressive, but you kick the opponent up a turn, which will backfire eventually horribly. I think it's very good in Constructed, or I don't know if very good, but it's definitely playable in Constructed, in a very aggressive deck like Warlock or something. Definitely not arena material. The Injured Blademaster, I like him. Actually, I like him a lot. He's 3/4 for 3 mana, which is very reasonable. He's actually very good in the priest deck, because the priest can heal him back up to 7. But the Defender of Argus is very powerful, especially since I have relatively easy access to more minions, to more creatures with my hero ability. So I'll take him. Oh, wow. That's a good question. All 3 are very decent. The Acolyte of Pain is actually, well, he's pretty decent in any deck, but in a Paladin deck he's better because I have some Blessing of Kings. Which is ironic, since I can only have one of them right now. The Harvest Golem is very useful as well. It generates card advantage on its own. Let's see. I think that the Blessing of Kings has the most game impact and synergy with a theoretical Paladin deck, with things like Divine Shield that I'm sure I'll pick up in the future. Any pick here will be reasonable, but I'll go with the Blessing of Kings. Besides, I like taking the hero special cards in the arena, mostly for it's like it's a personal preference, but if I'm playing arena with a hero, so I'll go with hero type spells. Okay, so Priestess of Elune, I really don't like her. She's simply too expensive for a 5/4. Too easily killed. The battle cry is not very useful. The redemption is situational. Sometimes it's pretty good, especially with Divine Shield creatures. But there's really no competition to Consecration. It's cheap. It can be very devastating to the opponent. Even if you don't kill all his creatures, sometimes you can finish them off with your little minions, etc. Okay. I like the Guardian of Kings much more than the Priestess of Elune. Besides the 2 extra health that you get, that's not very important. The 6 toughness is really critical. It's a little bit expensive, but that's okay. Eye for an Eye is awful. Okay, you do an unknown amount of damage sometimes, sometime, for a card. I really don't like it. Since the damage is to the enemy hero, Redemption I talked about earlier. So far I don't see a reason to take a situational card when I have a solid pick, Guardian of Kings. Okay, at the risk of becoming very top heavy with my mana costs, I'll go with the Boulder Fist Ogre. Simply he's very cost effective. For 6 mana, the same as that poor Priestess, you get much better stats. It's a big threat. The Commando is decent. I have a problem with his 2 toughness. I always feel like, I know, he's going down, hopefully killing something, and then dies himself for 5 mana. I mean, he doesn't offer much in the sense of board control. That's what I mean. The Farseer is actually not bad. You want to try and use his Battlecry to heal minions. Then he's like a semi-card advantage. Situational, but decent. But the Boulder Fist Ogre is simply very efficient. Okay, now I remember that I really need cheap guys. Okay, cheap guys is important. Okay, Ancient Watcher. Well, I saw a couple of guys playing him in the arena. I really don't understand why. I mean, he's so situational, and like, unless you're very lucky, he's simply a dead card. And I mean, even if you get him to be alive, like silenced, and turned free, and I'm optimistic here, still, I mean, well, yeah, it will create problems to the enemy, but it's not a, game winner. Okay, so here there's an interesting question. Theoretically, the Defender of Argus is the stronger card, okay? But since I'm already top heavy, and I think that since I can produce minions, relatively disposable minions, the 1/1s, the Master Swordsmith might be very useful in my deck. Again, this is a matter of choice. If you go with the Defender, it's definitely a very valid pick, but I'll go with the Master Swordsmith simply because I'm scared that I have nothing in the 1, 2, 3 mana slots. Okay, as I mentioned in a previous video of drafting strategy, Murlocs are irrelevant in the arena. So the question is between these guys. I actually like the Ogre Magi very much. It has decent stats for 4 mana, and compared to the Chillwind Yeti, which is very good, you trade 1 toughness for spell damage. Now, in our deck, spell damage is not the greatest, but it has some uses, yes, for consecration, for hammer, for example, that I hope to pick up later. But as I mentioned before, I think that the Blessing of Kings has more impact. Though I probably wouldn't play with more than 2. So this is again a tough question. I don't have, well, I basically don't really have creatures, cheap creatures so far. But I'll be brave, I'll hope for the best in the future. I'll remember that I really need cheap creatures in my future picks. It's only the 7th pick, so I'll go with the Blessing of Kings. Okay. Eye for an Eye, we talked about it, it's garbage. The Snapjaw is decent, but I already have a lot of 4 mana cost cards, and besides, the Frostwolf Warlord is actually, well, in any deck he's pretty good, especially in a deck that spawns minions. With the hero power, so I'll go with him. It's a 5-drop that I lack. Okay. I like the Razorfen Hunter quite a lot, actually. It offers like a 3-4 body for 3 mana, which is very nice. The boar is pretty fragile, but on a 3rd turn the opponent still has to use some resource to get rid of it, especially if his or her hero power doesn't offer him the ability to ping for 1. So, and I need cheap creatures, yes. So of course I'll go with the Hunter. The Rifleman is okay. I mean, he's very weak for the 3 mana that he costs. So you can usually kill off some random little guy with a Battle Cry, but he's situational, and I mean, he's decent at best, unlike the Razorfen Hunter, which is always decent. Sometimes it's actually very useful. So I'll go with the Hunter. Oh wow. Problem, because, well, all 3 are pretty good. Power-wise, I think the Argent Commander is the strongest. Though, well, I don't know. I mean, the Azure Drake is very cost effective. Yeah, it's a very decent body for 5 mana. You draw a card and the spell damage is just icing on the top. But I'll go with the Commander. I feel that the Divine Shield mechanic really is better in a Paladin deck. It practically always kills off someone with the charge and the Divine Shield. If I pump him up next turn with the Blessing of Kings, or even the same turn it goes down, he becomes a beast. Yeah, so I hope I'm making the right decisions. Okay, once again, I'm going very, very top heavy, and I don't like it, but I feel, well, the Ironbeak Owl is not really a 2nd drop. Okay, I don't want to waste the Silence because, well, he costs too much for a 2/1 creature. Yeah, there's really no sense in that. And the Silverhand Knight is very good. It's a 5th drop, which I lack. So So yeah, I'll go with the knight. And I really need cheap guys. Oh, wonderful. The Peacekeeper, though the Drake, again, as I said, is very cost effective, he's very good, but he's simply too expensive for my deck right now. Now the Peacekeeper, he has a decent body for 3 mana, and his battle cry, sometimes it's a hard removal, okay? Even if you actually play it on the 3rd turn and you drop, like, I don't know, a 3-2 into a 1-2, or even bigger guys, that's it, they're useless, okay? So I really like the battle cry. It can shut down even like huge threats if I draw him late game. So yeah, definitely Peacekeeper. Okay, now I'm screwed because I don't really want Blessing of Kings number 3. Guardian of Kings is decent, but he's too expensive. The Snapjaw, let's see. Right now, I actually have only one creature that I want to drop on the 4th turn, but, and that's an important but, they all require other creatures on board already. Yeah, so I need cheaper drops. So I think I'm gonna do a risky move, and I'll go with the 3rd Blessing of Kings. Sometimes you can simply like steal the game with a well-timed Blessing of Kings. Like if you actually play it on a, I don't know, some Razorfen Hunter that you had in game, in play from the last turn, you completely swing the tempo. The other guy has to, I don't know, bring some answer. Like, and if he doesn't have a polymorph, then I don't know, even a hunter is hard to kill with damage after a Blessing of Kings. So this is my fantasy. Okay, okay, I'll go with the Protector, obviously. Though the Noble Sacrifice is actually pretty good, it's very annoying sometimes. Though, again, it is situational. Sometimes, like, if you cast it on the 1st turn, it's okay. It usually becomes a removal. The healer, he's not bad. Yes, compared to the Chilling Deity, you add mana for the battle cry, which is, well, it's kind of a bad deal, but he's still decent. Sometimes the restore to health is actually very useful. You heal up like a couple of minions, and it's a big card advantage actually. I'll go with the Protector because, well, for example, you can Divine Shield blessed creature. It's a 2-drop. Well, no, actually, I wouldn't say it's a 2-drop. But I feel he is very efficient. Yeah. And I think if I can survive the early game, then I'll be fine. Anyway. Okay. Again, I'll go with what the mana curve dictates. Though I think the Magi is a better card than both of them. I need cheaper guys to get blessed by the kings. Yeah. And the Farseer is decent. Yeah. I already feel that if I get to the late game, I'll probably be okay. I have strong late game cards, so I need to take care of my mana curve. Wow. The Dread Corsair can be useful if I'll get a quick, if I'll get the 4-2 weapon, but right now I don't have it, and there's no guarantee I will. The Humility, well, it's like it's half a removal spell. I mean, it's cheap, if that's any help, but Um, I mean, the blessing is simply a better card, but it's blessing number 4. Well, let's see how this deck works. I say let's go all in on the blessing deck. And for example, because I'm playing a blessing deck, I need to pick slightly suboptimal creatures. Like the bomber, I don't think he's suboptimal. Like, it's a good pick, but the inventor is better. It's very cost effective for his battle cry. I'm always happy to draw him, but I simply have to get creatures down before the 4th turn. Okay. The Mad Bomber, his battle cry is actually better than it looks. Since you control when you play it, obviously. The Raider is very good as well. He has the stats of the Swamp Crocodile, which in itself is pretty good. And if I don't know, miraculously actually get a weapon, he's getting even better. Don't be afraid to play him on the 2nd turn, even if you if you have nothing better to do, and even if you have a weapon in hand. I mean, the tempo swing is important enough. I think I'm actually gonna go with the Raider because I want him to survive to the next turn or two to get the blessing. So here, yeah, you see, when you have 4 Blessing of Kings in deck, that actually affects a lot your picks, because otherwise I would take the Inventor, if not him, and the Bomber. But I'm gonna take the Raider because it's an okay pick as well. Raider it is. Okay. Redemption, we talked about it. I'm gonna go with the Yeti simply because he's very cost effective, though the Berserker, if he gets a Blessing of Kings, is like impossible to get rid of. But I go with the Yeti. It's cheaper, it's very cost effective. Yeah. Okay, here there's no dilemma. I'm gonna go with the Dragon. The Dalaran Mage is pretty weak, even in a Mage deck. Not to mention, right now I have like 1 spell that actually does damage. Yeah, the Consecration. Blessing of Might, it's situational. It might be fine, but again, in my deck I already have 4 Blessing of Kings. I need guys, and cheap guys, preferably. Note that he actually won't help me with the blessing, yeah, because he can't be the target of spell abilities, but it doesn't matter because I need the tempo advantage. Ooh, shiny. Wow, but they all suck. Yeah, that's the problem with epic cards. Doomsayer is, I don't know, he's very situational. He's bad for my deck, usually. I don't like him at all. The Mountain Giant is problematic. I mean, if you cast him for 8 mana, then he's not very good. Yeah, compared to the Iron Bark Tree Folk of the Druid. And even for that, you need 4 cards in hand. So nope, definitely not. So I'm left with Big Game Hunter. His battle cry is actually very useful sometimes in game. In this specific deck, it's not a bad idea to cast him 3rd turn to get, if you have a Blessing of Kings in hand, because you'll get huge. So yeah, I'll take him and hope for the best. Okay, this is a much better pick. The War Leader is again useless. I don't have Murlocs anyway. The Faceless Manipulator is actually pretty good in general, and specifically in my deck, because you can copy, when you copy a creature, you get, for example, the blessing that comes with it. And the Sea Giant is very good as well. I hope I'll have, well, at least some minions in game all the time. So this is actually a hard choice. A hard choice. The Sea Giant is the safer pick, while the Manipulator is more situational and it's better for the blessings I got so far. Yeah, because like it, look at the mana curve. Yeah, it exactly fits. So the question is how optimistic I'm willing to be, because sometimes it just sits in your hand. It sucks. Okay, but I'll go all in and try to play well. Try to play well. Okay. Okay, Repentance, again, it's not bad, it's situational. I definitely don't want to play it turn 1, but like turn 5 or 6 it might be a good idea. Again, it's semi-removal, but you sometimes, you know, it's pretty easy to play around it, yeah, for the enemy to drop some small minion, rendering the card basically useless. I think I'm gonna get Divine Shield, simply because, well, first, I have enough high mana curve creatures and spells. I'm not very keen on the commando, as I said before, and because if you have like a really big guy and you give him Divine Shield, it progresses your card advantage that you're trying to do to create using the blessing. So yeah, blessing deck for the win. Yeah. That's a good question. Again, the Knight, power-wise, it's definitely better than the Brewmaster. Okay, there's no doubt about it. But I don't know. I mean, the Battle Cry will almost always screw me more than help me. Yeah, because, well, I definitely don't want to return, for example, a blessed creature. I have some Battle Cry guys that I wouldn't mind using again. But the Knight is simply very cost effective. I hope I won't die too fast. Oh, great. I got a very good 2-drop. Don't be afraid to play it actually in the second turn, unless you're going up against a warrior. It's okay. His stats are good enough. Okay, this is an easy pick. The Knight, the Stormwind Knight, is actually quite decent, but, well, like, theoretically, a Harpy with Blessing is, like, game, unless he has, I don't know, polymorph or, I don't know, some easy way to destroy it, assassinate or whatever. But no, that would be definitely too greedy, too heavy on the mana curve. I'll take the Protector, it's very good, it's cheap, it's useful. Very interesting indeed. I'll go with the Peacekeeper because I lack removal spells right now. I have like none, except for the Consecration and my big creatures. It's a 3-drop, and we said before that we need those. the spin side summoner is actually quite good as well, but well, these guys are simply better, I feel. I don't think that I'm gonna win using the tempo advantage produced by the summoner. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Peacekeeper. I like it a lot, actually. Okay, great. Now there's really no doubt. I'm actually very lucky to get an Acolyte of Pain, because with Blessing of Kings he becomes crazy. Yeah, again, unless he gets assassinated or something, he can produce massive amounts of card advantage. Okay, this is a no-brainer. The Cleric is very good, very cost-effective. That's about it. And is a 3-drop, which we need. The Holy Light is... I really don't believe in it. I mean, obviously you want to cast it on a creature, so okay, the creature will be fully healed, but you wasted the card. I don't like it. Cleric it is. Yeah, well, Holy Light I talked about just now. I don't like the Fen Creeper. Yeah, well, I mean, compare it to Tazdingo. You pay an additional mana for 1 toughness. It's a very bad deal. I don't have taunt creatures, but I don't feel that I need a lot of taunt creatures. Yeah, I have the Defender of Argus, and that's about it. I mean, I would need cheap taunt creatures, but I don't have them. So I'll go with the Noble Sacrifice. I really think it's pretty good. It can trade with an early 2-drop, like 3/2 or something. It's useful often. Yeah, so I'll go with the... and it's cheap. Yeah, I'm kinda worried that I'll get overrun before I get to my heavy hitters. Okay, well... okay, the Secret Keeper is obviously useless in our deck. I have 1 secret that I just picked up. The Holy Wrath, since we have so many cards, will cost 4 or more, he might be pretty good. But he might not be. So I don't know. I mean, compared to Moonfall, for example, the Druid draws a card and deals 5 damage for sure. There's like no comparison. Yeah, the Moonfall is much better. I think I'm gonna go with the Equality. Sometimes it can really change the tide of battles, and sometimes it plays absolutely useless in your hand. But again, I really lack removal, so I'll go with the Equality. And we're done. So let's just conclude. I picked up 1,000,000 Blessing of Kings. Even if I don't start with it in hand, I'll just usually assume that I'm gonna draw it soon. So that warped some of my picks into the lower mana curve, because I really want to cast Blessing of Kings on turn 4 or maybe even 3 with Coin. I have some early drops that I hope will survive until they get blessed by the kings. And if that won't work, I have some cost-effective, more expensive creatures. So that's about it. Wish me luck. I'll be posting the games with this deck, which should be kind of funny. So keep tuned. Thank you for watching.